Hello, this is Ben Bruce from Asking Alexandria, and we've just released our brand new EP entitled Never Gonna Learn.
Beautiful. Ben, thanks for joining us today, mate.
Thank you for having me.
No
How
worries,
is
mate.
it beautiful, sunny, summertime Australia?
It's beautiful, mate. It's only like 9:30 in the morning today, and I'm overlooking the Gold Coast, so the sun is out and the surf is raging, and it's a beautiful day over here.
Jealous. I'm jealous. I slipped on ice this morning, so
Oh,
the same as you.
how do you even do that?
I was rushing out the door to get my I don't know if you do know, but when it freezes overnight and you wake up and there's ice all on your windshield and stuff, so I thought, I know, I'll be proactive. While my daughter's getting dressed and ready for school, I'll run outside, I'll start the engine. That way the ice will thaw. By the time we're ready to go to school, we'll be good to go. So I run outside and I slipped on ice.
Oh, Jesus. Any bruises?
I thought, this is dangerous. I best tell everyone in my family so they don't make the same error. And then I forgot to tell any of them. And my daughter came running out. Pow! I was like, oh. I won't tell her I knew that was there.
I'll edit this bit out then, mate, just in case she ever sees this interview one day. So as you mentioned, mate, Asking Alexandria have released the new EP, Never Gonna Learn. So it's a pretty quick turnaround considering your last album, See What's on the Inside, only came out on October the 1st.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything we're doing with the new album is different to how things normally go and how things are normally released. And so when it came time to do single number 2, we thought, well, how can we do something different again? What can we do? You know, it's been a weird few years. People have missed live shows. People have missed loved ones, friends, family. It's just been weird, you know, and we don't have much to offer the world other than music and songs. And so we just thought, well, instead of just going with his single number 2, we wanted to make it a little bit special and release some new songs along with the single. So yeah, we decided to do this little EP, and it's kind of like the EP is almost the 2 polar ends of our fan base. You know, I think we've got this spectrum where there's some of our fans are all the way over here that like the really heavy stuff, and then there's other fans that really like the ballads, and then everyone else is sort of in the middle, you know, and they're cool with all of it. But this EP is, there's no middle ground, you know. There's the high energy songs, which are New Devil, which I think's a really heavy song, and then there's Never Gonna Learn, which is lots of energy, super upbeat, quite harsh rock vocals, big drums, and then all the way on the other side of the spectrum, we've got Find Myself and Miles Away, which I think are 2 of the saddest songs Asking Alexandria has ever written, and they're in more of the ballad sort of realm. So it's quite a cool EP in that regard, to where there's no real middle ground.
Yeah. And you mentioned the song Miles Away, which is actually billed as a solo edit. So what actually is a solo edit of the song?
It's a very good question. I have no idea what a solo edit of a song is. I
was expecting it just to be vocals, but there's instruments and everything in there, so it's sort of...
It's just a song. Maybe they spelled song wrong. Maybe it should have said song.
That sounds more like it. It's also got the song New Devil on there, which features Maria Brink from In This Moment, mate. So why was she chosen to be the guest artist on the single?
It's funny because we've known In This Moment forever. Maria's such a sweetheart. They're all sweethearts in that band, and we've never toured together, but we've played shows together so many times. I think we've played in Australia together, in Europe and America. We've always hit festivals together, and we've always got on really well, but we've never really collaborated on anything. And I always thought, you know, Maria has such a unique, distinctive voice, and so does Danny. I always kind of wondered, man, wouldn't it be cool if they got together and did a song together one day? But it never kind of happened. It was never, you know, followed up on or anything. And then we were writing New Devil in the studio, and as soon as Danny started laying vocals down, he started the first verse, and I just thought, oh my God, this is the one. I could hear her voice over it already. Whatever he was doing with his voice made me think of her immediately. I don't know if it was the melodies or just how he was presenting it, the aggression. I don't know what it was, but I said, don't even bother doing verse 2. let's see if Maria will go on the song. And he goes, well, what if she doesn't? Should I do verse 2 anyway? I was like, no, I want Maria on the song. I'm determined. And we reached out to her, and she was so on board. She was like, yes, we should have collaborated a long time ago. And she was awesome. She got it done so quickly. So yeah, it was nice to finally get their two voices on one song together.
I got to say, mate, talking to you is a hell of a lot easier than talking to Danny. Like last time I spoke to him, I think I did 450 laps of his house with him while I was on the phone.
He doesn't sit down, does he? He just goes back, and he holds his phone down here too. So you're just looking up his nostrils.
Yeah, oh yeah, out of the roof. The ceiling paint is beautiful. I got to say, the ceiling is beautifully painted.
You missed some cobwebs up there, Dan.
The EP artwork features what looks like the Queen's portrait in off color and skeletal in parts. Like it's an interesting choice for a cover, mate. Run us through it.
So I think it's years and years ago when we released From Death to Destiny. We were super proud. We moved to America when we were really young. Obviously, we're a British band, and a lot of people in the early stages of our career during Stand Up and Reckless, they'd come to meet and greets, and they'd be like, "Oh, I didn't know you guys were English," and it didn't annoy us because, you know, whatever, you don't need to know everything about the band you're listening to, but we were like, man, we're proud to be Brits. We're from England, you know, so we wanted to sort of make it more well known. And around that time, we were doing From Death to Destiny. We started flying like the Union Jacks on stage, and we started really sort of flying the flag for the UK and our roots. And at that period in our career, again, From Death to Destiny, we came up with this Skull Queen. And we just thought she was such a cool emblem and such a cool symbol. And so we used her throughout the From Death to Destiny sort of cycle on backdrops and stuff like that. And I think when we were releasing this album, it was such a throwback for us to like all the bands we loved, like Metallica and Pantera and Iron Maiden and all these bands we grew up listening to, in terms of how we recorded the album and just letting the music and the vocals really shine and sort of hiding behind production, post-production and all that stuff. It kind of, when you think of Iron Maiden, you think of bands back then, they were big and they were elaborate and they were theatrical. You know, Iron Maiden have Eddie, and the Rolling Stones have the lips and the tongue, you know, and there was always something. And I just was like, let's bring the Skull Queen back. She was awesome. And everyone just really liked the idea, you know, so it's a chance for us to sort of fly the British flag again. Because originally we wanted to go back home to record See What's on the Inside and record it in England. And we were going to call the album Made in England. But obviously with coronavirus and everything, we couldn't get back. We weren't allowed. It was all closed up. So that ended up taking a back seat, but we still wanted to sort of keep those roots strong. And so just reintroducing her for this album cycle seemed like a pretty cool idea. And I'm really glad we did it. I think she's awesome.
It's a good image. Probably what she's going to look like in a couple of years too. No disrespect.
Yeah.
So go back in time a bit, mate. Like you're a big part of forming Asking Alexandria back in 2006. So what was the musical climate like back then that gave birth to the band, and where did you fit in the early days?
Well, so I started the band in Dubai actually. So Dubai had a really, you wouldn't think it, but the underground sort of rock and metal scene was awesome. And so back when I started Asking Alexandria, I think a lot of what I was listening to, other than the stuff I'd grown up with, like Deep Purple and Pink Floyd and all that stuff, a lot of the more modern bands that I was listening to was like Funeral for a Friend and Bullet for My Valentine, and that sort of screamo sort of stuff. So when the band first formed, it was very much in that sort of realm. And, you know, you're young and music tastes sort of change and you discover new things. And so our sound progressed from there to sort of a more, I don't even know how to describe it, like a metalcore sort of sound. And sort of once we got the hang of songwriting and realized, you know, this is what we truly love doing, it's sort of trends of the time sort of became less relevant to us. And so we started sort of really forming our own sound, which is more of like a heavy rock and roll influence mixed with a bit of metal. And that's, it started, I think, properly with From Death to Destiny. But I suppose it started with Reckless and Relentless. There was that element of sort of chaotic rock and roll sprinkled throughout that record. But really in From Death to Destiny, we started really just writing music that it didn't matter to us what was trendy or popular at the time. And so that's where like Moving On spawned from, and songs like White Line Fever and stuff. And it's just progressed since then, really.
Yeah. So you mentioned before, like how a lot of your fans sort of they're pretty much polar opposite in parts. Like a lot of them like the softer sort of stuff, and a lot of them like your more aggressive sort of stuff. But so when you go into writing a new album, like how do you sort of do it? You're going to piss one section of your fans off, and the other's going to be happy, or do you try and sort of combine them together and keep everyone happy? Like it'd be a pretty tough balancing act.
I think something that we've learned quite early on is we have to be happy with what we're doing first and foremost, and so we have to love what we're creating, or else it just doesn't. It feels false. It doesn't feel genuine, and we don't enjoy it. And that will show live. We won't enjoy it live or anything like that. And I think so. For us, it's not necessarily what are people going to think of this? It's more, how do we feel about this? Are we enjoying it? Is this where we're at currently in our own lives? And we've just kind of stuck by that rule. And I always have the philosophy, well, if I like it and the other 4 like it, that's 5 people that like it. So surely there's other people out there that must like it too. There's got to be. We can't be the only 5 people in the world. And I think that's a good rule to stick to, because you're never going to please everyone, especially in being an artist, and it's tough. It's hard. But as soon as you start trying to please one group, you alienate another. And as soon as you start trying to please that group, you alienate the other group. So it's best just to make sure you're writing music for you, and just sort of hope that people enjoy it.
Yeah. Do you find that your fans sort of follow that belief with you too, or do you find some of them like say, "Fuck, I wish this had been a heavy metal one," or "I wish this had been a soft metal"? Like, do you get much sort of public feedback on that, or do they just accept what you do?
I tend to think the people that are the loudest are the people that don't like something.
Yeah, true.
And so it's hard to really gauge off of that. A lot of people will be quick to complain.
Hello.
Will be quick to complain at something they don't like, and that could be music, that could be a movie, that could be a restaurant.
A movie or restaurant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think you just kind of have to look at what's happening. You have to look a little bit deeper and really realize more of our fans have grown with us than apart from us, and you're always going to lose some fans along the way and then gain new fans along the way, and that's just part of the journey of being a musician. What are you doing, you crazy boy?
We'll wind it up now. I've got a couple more questions, but nothing that important. So you've got daddy duties to perform, mate. I know what it's like, so we'll let you go today, Ben.
Oh, no worries, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time.
No worries, mate. Hopefully we see you back out here in Australia in the not too distant future. We can catch up and have a beer and talk about how much we miss our kids.
No, that is it. I can't wait to get back out there. He's talking to me. Talking to.
All right, brother. Enjoy the rest of your night, mate, and we'll be really, really good EP too, bro. I hope she does well for you, which I know she will.
Thank you so much, mate. You have a good day.
Take it easy.